Buenos dias from Costa Rica. Howdy y'all from Texas. This is Dwight Hartley again. I'm here at my restaurant at Jaco Walk in Jaco, Costa Rica. And as promised, today we're going to start our discussion of meat and how to prepare it, season it. So today we're going to start with these two steaks. One is a New York strip, one is a ribeye. You'll notice that the New York strip is quite a bit thicker than the ribeye. They both weigh approximately 16 ounces. So what we're going to do before we go to the grill, I want to show you just a couple of things. And this is going to save you money. When a restaurant prepares the meat for the grill, we trim the fat away, where we don't want more than 1/4 inch of fat on the outside of the steak. I hope you can see that okay. Even the ribeye, we've trimmed away the excess fat. Now, one of the things you want to be really careful about when you buy meat in this country especially is how much fat are they leaving on a piece of meat, and how much of that fat are you really going to consume. We sell meat here already trimmed, and we're about to sell it at our meat market at our new restaurant in Huachapalin. We really want about 1/4 inch fat so that the edges of the steak don't curl up when we put it on the grill. But we don't want 2 inches of fat that you paid for meat, that you're paying for fat, that no one's going to eat. It ends up in the trash or the garbage. So be very careful about that. When you're buying meat anywhere at a market, look and see how much fat's left on that piece of meat before you evaluate what the price is that you're paying. I can assure you, you're paying too much. All right, here are the two steaks. I brought them out in a package because I wanted to show you the trim, but also want to show you that I just brought these out of the refrigerator. My grill's getting hot right now, and we're almost ready to put these steaks on. They've been out now for about 10 minutes, right? They need a little longer. One thing you never, ever, ever do is put a cold piece of meat on a hot grill, especially on a thinner piece of meat like this ribeye. What's going to happen if you do that? The edges are going to curl up, and the moisture is going to come running out of that cold steak, and you're going to have a dry steak. So we're going to take these out of the package. We're going to show you something on how to season these steaks, and then we're going to go to the grill. Okay, we're back with you. As you can see, I've taken the steaks out of their packages. I've allowed about another 15 minutes to bring the temperature of that meat up so it's not cold when it hits that hot grill. Beautiful New York strip, beautiful ribeye. Hopefully I'm going to teach you something here that you've never heard about before. If you'll look at this ribeye real closely, there's a cap here. That's the best part of the ribeye. This part right here is almost like a New York strip. As a matter of fact, if you take the whole piece of ribeye, the further you work away from the cap, you end up with a New York strip. So when you're buying a ribeye and you want to make sure at the market that you're really getting a ribeye, you don't want to buy a piece of meat that looks just like this. You want to buy the piece of meat with the cap on. That's called the spinellus muscle, and a lot of people think that's the best tasting piece of meat on a whole animal. I don't know that I disagree with that. Okay, what we see here is we see moisture on top of these steaks, which is a good thing, because as we cook the steaks over an open flame, or if you have a charcoal grill at home, you have basically gases emitting from the charcoal or the hardwood material that you're using, which includes carbon monoxide and methane and some other gases, which as they lose their host, they attach themselves to the wettest, coolest place they can find. And guess what? When you put your meat on the grill or in your smoker, that's exactly where those gases go. Now that sounds bad, but it's not. all wood contains carbon monoxide and methane. Of course, those things can be dangerous, but for cooking purposes, it's what gives meat the smoky flavor. So up next is, how do we season this meat? It's funny to me, since I've been doing this all my life, and obviously I've been alive for a long time. When I was a boy and we were barbecuing outside, there was only one kind of barbecue pit. We took an oil drum, cut it in half, made a homemade grill, and it had a top that you could close. That was it. There weren't any green eggs, there weren't any fancy barbecue pits of any kind. What we had then was wood, good meat, salt, and pepper, and guess what? That's all you need today. Don't think you've got to go out here and spend over $1,000 on a barbecue pit to cook a great steak or even smoke a brisket. You simply do not. On our seasoning, salt, pepper, but not just any salt. I bring in, I'll just splatter a little bit here so you can see it. I bring in coarse sea salt from Nicoya, Costa Rica. I think it's the best all-around salt there is. It contains no chemicals. It's 100% all natural, and I can taste the difference. The other thing that I do, never ever buy pepper already ground up. It's like buying coffee already ground up. Once the bean's been ground up, it loses a lot of its flavor, especially with time. So, a better option and a less expensive option is to buy your black pepper in the pod that it is naturally in. Buy it in volume like this. It's going to save you money. You can either do it the old-fashioned way, which I kind of like to do. We're going to pour it in there. And then we're going to grind it up ourselves. Or you can cheat, like we do in the restaurant. We fill up these grinders, as you can see, with the peppercorns, and we grind them. On the sea salt, I have electric grinders in here for people to use at the table. Same sea salt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this surface completely with this sea salt. Some people don't like to put salt on the meat. They say it makes it shrink and all kinds of nonsense. I don't believe in that theory. I believe that seasoning needs to be on the meat the entire time, so I go ahead and season it. My pepper, same thing. Now I'm not going to go heavy on the pepper on the top surface, and the reason is pepper's very expensive anywhere in the world, but especially here in Costa Rica. So at one point we're going to flip this steak and some of that seasoning is going to be lost. So we're going to save the heavier dose of pepper for just before the meat's ready. Okay, with that, I think we're just about ready to go to the grill. So let's talk about the grill for just a second. There are options, obviously. The cleanest and best option, if you can do it, is gas. The problem with gas for most people is that they light their gas stove. It has no time for the lava rock or whatever you have in the bottom of it. It has no time to really heat up. Our grill here at the ranch, it's operational all the time. And the other thing that we have is the meat droppings go down on the lava rock that create those wonderful smells and that great taste in a grilled steak. So it's a little bit difficult cooking with gas at home. I'm not telling you stay away from it at all, but unless you're using that grill a lot and you're cooking enough meat where you've got the drippings from that meat coming down on it, simply not going to have the same flavor as charcoal or hardwood. Quick word about that. What are charcoal briquettes made from? Most people don't know. They're made from wood shavings or scrap pieces of wood, and they're molded together with like a glue. I really don't like using that unless it's my only option. And the main reason is not because I think they're unsafe, as long as it's properly ventilated outside, because remember what I said about methane and carbon monoxide. That's why on a bag of charcoal it says, do not use this inside the house. It's got to be ventilated. But the other option, big chunks of hardwood, that's real natural wood that's cooked without oxygen, so it doesn't just burn up. And then when you put it in your grill, it's a natural substance that has nothing in it. So if that's available to you, I would go with the hardwood. One of the other big reasons that I like to use hardwood is that I can achieve a temperature of around 500 to 550 degrees Fahrenheit, which is where you need to be. Not all the time, but if you're going to make the grill marks properly and everything on the steak, that's the temperature that you've got to achieve. Can you achieve 500 degrees Fahrenheit with a charcoal briquette? No, you cannot. So if you have an option for hardwood, go with it. If you're cooking with gas, turn on that gas grill at least 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes before you start the grilling process. Okay, I'm sure I've left out tons of stuff, but maybe I'll catch it up in the kitchen. Let's go to the grill.